All right, as Elias is going to experience maybe another near death. Yep, here we go. Why are Aboriginal youth 2 times more likely? Get it? Oh, there we go. Oh, it's okay. So just drop it. We got the safety bars there. That's why you always put the safety bar there, kids. And then we're gonna go
Save
here.
your life.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, together. Nice. Why are Aboriginal youth 2 times more likely to get type 2 diabetes? And then, with our shared perspective and you sharing us, why 2 times more likely to happen? What can we do to maybe help the Aboriginal youth and North Americans in general to be healthy?
All right. So, type 2 diabetes.
That's right.
So-
Do you and your siblings do any of you suffer from diabetes?
No. So, me and my siblings don't. My parents don't have it.
Fantastic.
However, all of my grandparents did, on both my parents' sides of the
It's
family.
affected you straight up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then a lot of my aunts and uncles have also suffered with diabetes, type 2 diabetes as well. So it is something that is very prevalent in my life. It's not something that I've ever not known about, and just due to my exposure to it. So the rates of diabetes are higher in the Indigenous population. And I think there are several factors that affect this, including language barriers, shipping supplies that we've talked about, and then as well just a lack of knowledge on nutrition and processed foods. We look at the prices, so what can Indigenous people afford, and is it accessible for them to be able to get it?
This is such I didn't even realize. So as Elias is talking, what I'm hearing even already here, and I have to interrupt because we're already hearing we've got shipping concerns, so routes, poor roads, no service roads, water only or air only for a lot. We have income, and a lot of people's arguments for reservations in the government is, why are we giving them so much money? And you already just said, so for food, the price is inflated because of the roads and routes. So our Fruit Loops box, $4.98 is now $15. So that's why we have to give them inflated amounts of money. Our beautiful First Nations people who deserve that, and it's their right. You're right. So anyway, so there's so many just in food. So look at all those issues that the First Nations have to deal with just there. So continue. I hope I'm okay with speaking freely like that. But
for
what
sure.
an amazing topic.
Yeah, and I think I just want to circle back to that idea where the government is like giving the money to the Indigenous people, and I think it's important to recognize as well just that we don't get a lot of money for the populations that we have. The amount of money that we get is close to nothing, and then as well, it's money that comes from treaty rights. These are, I think, the way that I like to see it is that the non-Indigenous people, the settlers, came to this land and made treaties with the Indigenous people here. And there was a lot lost in translation because in the Indigenous people's mind, when you come and you make treaties on land or with people about the land, it's not about owning the land. It's not about ownership, because how can you own the water and the trees and those sorts of things? So when they came over and they made these treaty rights and they asked for use of the land, that's what it was. It was use of the land. And they were paying us.
Not occupation of the land.
Exactly.
Oh!
So when you think about then what happens is that now we've entered this treaty and an agreement of use of land. Because we don't own it, so we can't give it to you. But we can use it, we can go have it together.
Coexist. Hi, neighbor.
Exactly. Hi, neighbor. And then, and then the money that has been seen in return for that, so the money that comes into for funding for Indigenous people to go to school, post-secondary education, the money that goes to reserves to help with the band and upkeep of the reservations and roads and things like that. It's all money that comes from, I would compare it to taxes from the government of Canada. So they're paying their tax or their rent that is due to us for that we made for that land agreement.
Beautiful,
That land use,
yeah.
right? So
Well said.
I
Thank
think
you.
yeah. So like it's not money that's sort of given to us. It's money that is owed to us.
To coexist together.
Exactly, because we've given up a portion of our land, so the things that we used to survive, right? Like
You've given up more than a portion, buddy. The flow and the care of Mother Earth, and no true borders. Because I remember even your lacrosse story of tribes playing lacrosse to get territory, and where the game ends is either territory won or lost. And that's just natural ebbs and flows. So that can change, borders move.
Exactly.
It's not so strict and
it was very fluid. Like things were always changing, and just like in nature, right? So
just like in nature, nothing is permanent.
So we change with it. And so just with that idea of the money coming in, and then so we've talked like just those things that I mentioned at the beginning are just a few things of the barriers that we face towards the epidemic of type 2 diabetes in the indigenous community. But then as well, like our genetic makeup as well. And then the foods that we ate traditionally versus the rations that we were given once we moved to reserves and we were moved to different territories. So we're a nomadic people. We moved a lot, but we farmed as well. So we had a lot of farming. Our foods were like corn, bean, squash, things like very hardy foods, and then we hunted for our food. So all of our food that we ate came from vegetables, and anything that was processed or like white flours weren't a thing. And then when the indigenous people were being moved to reserves and given rations from the government, they started to feed us things that were canned, high in fat, high in sodium, low in nutrients. So a lot of
heavy
lard,
sodium, you're right too.
So a lot of lard, a lot of white flour, lots of like really heavy, fatty,
and quick energy.
Exactly. So you think about where that puts us nutritionally, just if that's all that we're being given to eat. And now it's not like we can go out and hunt our own food or grow our own food anymore, but we have to rely on this food that's being given to us. So it was just it was tough because now we can't provide our own food for ourselves. We aren't self-sustaining anymore, and the people that are our ward, because now the indigenous people are wards of the state.
Wards, that's right.
So we don't have our own. We aren't our own people, and we aren't self-governing anymore. And we're relying on these people to take care of us that have no intention of doing us any good. So
just keeping you.
Exactly.
Stay where you are. Stay happy. Don't bug us.
And like you think about the idea of what the government was and what they were trying to do to the indigenous people at the time was to eradicate them. It was to kill the Indian because they're savage. They're not good people. They're not people at all. We didn't have the status of being humans until less than 100 years ago, right? Indigenous people couldn't vote until 1968. Which was the same year that my mom was born.
Wow.
So.
and in 1967 is when. Hold on 2 seconds. What was that? Oh, fantastic. Grab a shirt, leave the money on the table.
TV time.
Yeah. Shoot.
1967.
Oh, 67, yes. My mother, she cried because the Union Jack was taken down that year. So that means 1 year after Canada actually became its own nation and not part of the Commonwealth, it is when Aboriginals got the right to vote. So it shows you colonialism, which you brought 2 points ago, was a huge point. Wow.
Yeah. So then, like these are, bringing it back to the nutrition side of things, these are the things that we now had to make our way in living with. So we started to make things like our fry bread. I don't know if you've had fry bread or Indian tacos, things like that. But they're
Oh no,
Yeah.
my experience of my Aboriginal ancestry is when you found out, like 2 years when we first met, is when my father was okay with telling me about it and learning about it. So I don't know any of the foods, don't know anything.
Yeah, so I think you predominantly see things like, so fried bread, it's flour, milk, water, and baking powder. You mix it all up and you fry it in lard. So not the most healthiest thing.
Delicious.
Delicious. Very heavy, very dense, and very not nutritious.
Yeah.
And then, like you see it, they buy things that are cheap because they can afford it. The things like Spam, bologna, really high sodium, low quality meats.
Processed cheese.
Exactly. So,
breads, simple foods that don't go bad fast.
yeah. And like when you think about the way that now tying it into the youth, when you look at where youth learn their things from. When children are brought up, they learn how to eat from their parents. So what do their parents eat? That's typically what the children end up eating as well. And so that gets passed on. So the children grows up with a high calorie, low nutrient diet, and that's what they think is normal. So having a box of KD and a couple hot dogs, and that's normal. So I think it's really good that there is, in my life anyways, with the youth that I work with, that they do have a space where they can learn about nutrition, learn about healthy eating habits, because even if they're not like putting them into place right away, it's still important that they know it, because maybe eventually down the road something will click and they'll say, hey, you know what, I'm not living the healthiest life I can, and maybe I can just start with being a little bit more nutritious. Maybe instead of going out to eat, I'm going to start making my own food. So just giving them those skills, regardless of if they're using them now or not, because they are useful skills to have. I think that's one way of combating the epidemic is
Education.
Yeah, exactly. Education about what we can do, and
educating the elders so they can educate the youth, because it's a loss. You got two generations, I feel, that have lost even the Canada Food Guide, which was wrong. So we messed it up. But so it's wrong for our own people, and so it's up to you to definitely teach your youth. You know better.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you didn't know before. Your ancestors didn't. Because what I'm getting from that is you weren't allowed to know. You had no opportunity.
Exactly. There was nothing that was given there.
Nothing.
That said, hey, this is what you're.
Because we weren't neighbors. We put up our walls. You can't see what we're doing. Whoa.
Yeah, and then in fact we got put into a position of being less than equals even.
That's right.
So,
Absolutely.
So we weren't given the seat to know what we were being fed, and like it started right from that idea of residential schools, and even before that, going back to the broken trees that we were moving, then just the difference in terms between when we signed those treaties, knowing that the difference in thought process, of being land use versus
blue lens, yellow lens.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I think the nutrition and type 2 diabetes is a genetic thing, but then as well it's something that's come across for the last 100 to 200 years of improper knowledge and like low living standards.
Brought about by prejudice. So look, Elias and I think are really special. And the reason we're really special is because I think we're the first generation capable of speaking with the responsibility and the weight of our ancestors on our back, but without the immediate open wound. We have scars, but we don't have open wounds. So we can really fix this. So what I hope, and the 13 people that watch this, I hope we learn a lot. And I've already learned a lot, that amazing perspective, and we have to change that now.
Yeah.
So we gotta really fix that up. We gotta get on to nutrition, which I think you do already, working with Focus Forward. I messed it up 2 questions ago. I'm dyslexic, but you guys you take leadership already in that, don't you?
Yeah, well, one of the projects that Focus Forward is working on are predominantly greenhouses. So that's providing that food source for the community.
And you're teaching them how to grow it.
Exactly. So
Wow.
that brings us back, even if we're not talking directly about nutrition, this is whole nutritious food that they're going to be getting, and maybe they don't maybe they do know it's a benefit, and maybe they don't know all the science behind it, but they still understand that growing their own food is better than going out and buying processed food from somebody else.
That's right. And for perspective too, because a lot of people may not even understand that, like, oh, how can you not know food, wieners and Katie is not good for you? How do you not know that? How is that a thing? But I can speak from my perspective. I didn't know that. That's what I ate. We were a poor family. I had no idea. I ate muffins every morning. That was my norm. I ate Katie at dinner, and I didn't eat lunch, and that was my norm. I didn't know about nutrition. Even to this day, because of my having dyslexia, reading is difficult. So I am like prime first world benefit of the sacrifice Aboriginals and First Nations have already laid out. So your sacrifice for me to be born here, amazing. But even with my privilege of your suffering and my ancestors' suffering, the pioneers suffering just the same, and differently, I still was unable to eat healthy and learn until I was mature and spiritually ready to learn. So we have to teach. You can't just expect, and the point of me saying all this, you can't just expect people to know.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's why it's important to be able to talk about it.
Talk about it openly.
Yeah, so that way we can educate, and I mean these talks start to make not only new ideas for other people, but for ourselves as well. They stimulate
Yeah,
thinking, and
they do.
then after this, reflecting on it, we can say, hey, like,
How can we help?
Yeah, exactly. So they're important discussions to be able to have.
Whoa. So I feel like on this one, that was really nice. I'm not going to go any deeper. Maybe do you vote, or do you cross vote but say abstain? Like I'm not voting for anyone.
Yeah, I have voted in the elections for provincial, and then for the federal election in 2015, I did. I voted, but decided to
Abstain, yeah. I'm doing that this year. Just because I'm tired of letting people lead, and I think your ancestors felt that scar of letting people lead. So I think you and I, we have to make sure that we don't let people lead, so we don't feel the same pain our ancestors felt 100, 200 years ago.
For sure.
So we're gonna film. Are you good? Are you happy with this? Do you have any
Yeah.
points you want to shout out to your beautiful family? Or do you want to say final words, and then we're just gonna film the rest of our workout?
Hi Mom, hi Dad.
Yeah, what's up? Much love.
Yes, make sure you watch it to the end so that way you can get my shout out to my parents.
That's right. I'm gonna cut that spot and put it to the beginning, and then we can go there. So I'll be done. So interview part's done. I just wanted to share Elias's beautiful story because we're the same generation. I think we feel the weight of the mistakes of the past. I'll speak from the veterans' perspective. I think the World War II vets didn't openly speak about their feelings and this pain that they felt. I feel that the same, I think your ancestors can relate to my veteran statement that they didn't share the true pain until now, until you and your parents shared it with you, so now you're a leader. And I think it's up to us right now to make sure that our children, my two children, know empathy, know perspective, and know to think about the other person so we can stop being shitty neighbors.
Yeah, for sure.
So-
the empathy thing, right?
Empathy,
You just
man.
gotta put yourself in someone else's shoes for a little bit and learn from.
That's
learn,
right.
Learn to exist together.
In every sentence, every time you interact with somebody, 100% compassionate, thoughtful communication that has no judgment. So the entire time you were talking, I had no judgment. I was just listening to what you had to say, so I can feel it. And then when you're done speaking, that's when I'll share my perspective, and then we can come together.
Yeah, for sure.
So-
And, like, listen.
gotta
Exactly. It all
learn.
starts with listening.
And this is taught. You can't assume. I didn't know how to speak like this before.
Yep.
Edgewood taught me that. So I'm only 14 weeks into this new technique, so it's not like I grew up with this.
Yeah.
This is not what I knew.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why I want to share it. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Elias. I'll shake your hand on camera and make this official. Yeah.
All right.